To the chief musician on Neginoth upon Sheminith, a psalm of David. O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Psalms chapter 6 verse 1. In this verse, David expresses a heartfelt plea for mercy and compassion. His words reflect a deep awareness of God's authority and righteousness, yet he also recognizes his need for divine mercy. David's plea is not only a cry for forgiveness, but also a request for God to withhold judgment, acknowledging that God's anger can be overwhelming and severe. Through this verse, we see a raw and vulnerable side of David, revealing the humility and contrition that come with recognizing one's own shortcomings before a holy and just God. O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger. David begins by addressing the Lord directly, acknowledging God's righteous anger. The term rebuke here signifies a correction or admonishment, often stemming from God's displeasure with sin. David, in his plea, is asking God to withhold this rebuke, recognizing that he does not deserve mercy based on his own actions, but is hoping for God's grace. This opening line speaks to the fear of God's judgment, yet also to the awareness of the necessity for discipline in one's life. Neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. The word chasten refers to discipline or punishment. David is asking God not to discipline him in his hot displeasure, a phrase that conveys the intensity of God's righteous anger. David understands that God's chastening is for correction, but he seeks mercy in this moment, praying that God's anger would not overwhelm him. The imagery of hot displeasure underscores the seriousness of David's request. He seeks a gentler, more loving hand rather than the fiery judgment of God's wrath. Conclusion. Psalm 6 verse 1 shows David's heart in a moment of distress, calling out to God in the face of discipline and judgment. David does not deny his guilt, but instead asks for mercy, hoping that God's correction will not be too severe. This verse is a poignant reminder of the balance between God's holiness and his mercy. As believers, we can identify with David's cry, understanding that while we are deserving of correction, God's mercy can soften the blow of his righteous judgment. This prayer demonstrates the need for humility before God, recognizing both his authority and his compassion.